It is a very dreary, rainy day out, so I apologize if my lighting is a little mellow. I'll try and bump that up in post a little bit. I actually had no intention of filming a video today. It wasn't until I was driving home from my appointment this morning that I thought this might be a helpful video for some people. If you're just, you know, someone new to the faith, or if you're just curious about tattoo removal in general. So of course the question is, how did we end up here? How did I end up trying different methods of tattoo removal, researching all these different methods, and why am I even removing them in the first place? Now, I have 4 tattoos. I technically got 5 tattoos, but one of them is a cover-up, and it was of something so teensy weensy that I really can only say I have 4 tattoos. Now, I'm guessing based on my appearance and presentation that most people would assume I don't have tattoos, or maybe they might even assume that I think poorly of people with tattoos. Nowadays, when I meet friends or people that I've gone on dates with, when I tell them I have tattoos, they're often very surprised, which again, I can understand that. So I got my very first tattoo when I was in college, when I was either 18 or 19, and it was so dumb. I was afraid to get the tattoo. I was terrified of the pain, so I literally chose the smallest thing I could think of, which was 3 dots in a row. And it meant nothing to me, but I attempted to justify it in saying that it meant life continues on, you know. Little ellipses. How creative, Siara. How just, ooh. So that started the journey into getting tattooed. Since then, I've had, again, 4 more, but I still say I only have 4 tattoos because one was a cover-up of that ridiculous ellipses. Truth be told, there's only one that has any real significant meaning to me. I actually made a YouTube video about it many years ago. It's the one I got with my best friend Karina. The tattoo itself did not hold up very well. It is pretty blown out and it is fading in a lot of spots, but the other tattoos were relatively impulsive. They don't really have a lot of meaning to them. And I just, plain and simple, I don't like how they look on my body. I won't get into the nitty-gritty of exactly what the tattoos are or exactly where the placements are. The majority of the tattoos that I have just do not represent me as a person anymore. It just bums me out. It bums me out when I look at it. I want them off my body. So fast forward to about 2 years ago, and this was really when I decided, okay, at the very least, the one that I have on my ribcage here has gotta go. I really dislike it. And I just felt like now is the time. You know, I know that getting it removed is a very long process, and I was like, all right, we gotta get the ball rolling. So of course, the only kind of removal that I even knew existed at the time was laser tattoo removal. That's the first thing that came to mind, and I was like, perfect, we'll find one in the area. So I found a really great establishment that was within 30 minutes of my home at the time. It had great reviews. I went in for a consultation and the guy was super professional and kind, and I just felt totally comfortable. So I was all in. At this point, I was like, perfect, let's do it. I made my appointment. I was booked and ready to go. Now, the big thing about laser tattoo removal is they tell you before to purchase some kind of lidocaine cream so that you can put it on the tattoo, let it sit for at least an hour. Some places even said like up to 2 hours, with saran wrap on top of it so that it really absorbs into your skin and you can get the full numbing effect. I don't know what the removal is gonna feel like. I was like, of course, I'll slather it up. We'll make sure that nothing's gonna feel anything. You know, I took my Tylenol beforehand. I did everything to make sure that I wouldn't feel the worst of the pain. So I get in, we start the removal process, and oh, sweet Lanta. I was told that the pain was similar to that of getting the tattoo. It was not the same at all. It was so horrifically painful, and I like to think I have a fairly high pain tolerance. You know, I have multiple tattoos on my rib cage, which I was told is a very tender spot, and I really did not have that difficult of a time with these tattoos. The laser was unbearable. I got my 1 session and not a lot of ink had dissipated. And I was told that all in all, it would be probably at least 9 sessions to remove this tattoo. And at this point, I was just like, there's no way I can't do this. But I was so dead set on getting this atrocious tattoo removed that I was like, okay, we're just gonna power through it. So I get to my second session. Again, I did everything I was supposed to do. I did the lidocaine, I did the Tylenol, sat down, the second session started. And again, I was just ready to jump out of my skin. It was brutal. It is so painful. I cannot express to you. And I'm so sorry if anyone who is considering laser or has laser coming up. I'm sorry with that you're watching this if I'm making you concerned, but I do want to prepare you because people did not prepare me for how painful it was. Mentally, I was like, I can't do this again. I was about to tell him to stop during that session. And so at that point, it was over for me. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to suck it up and now deal with this slightly dissipated tattoo. It's all fuzzed out. There's like different spots that are slightly fading. It's just a mess now. So fast forward about, let's see, when did I have that done? 2023, so 2 years now. Saw myself in the mirror and I just was so unhappy with how the tattoos look on my body. I really was thinking, okay, we gotta find a way to get this removed. So the different removal methods that were available were the laser tattoo removal, the a saline tattoo removal, or the last one was going to be plastic surgery to have it cut out from your skin. Now, I had jumped from the laser tattoo removal to considering the plastic surgery route, getting it cut out of my skin, which I know sounds bananas, because I did not know about the saline removal at the time. And so I really was going back and forth. I just didn't know if the process was gonna be worth it. Again, they would have to remove it in steps, cut out a piece, sew that up, and then come back and get the rest of it. Again, it's just a mess just trying to get these things off your body. It's such a long, difficult process, which I just don't think people consider. You know, when I had gotten my tattoos in the first place, I really thought, worst case scenario, I can always get them lasered off. I did not know it was going to be a process like this. So the two main issues that I really had with the laser were A, the pain. It was excruciating. It was just horribly uncomfortable. And B, which is something that people don't often talk about, is the fact that ink particles can actually get trapped in your lymph nodes. Now, the way that laser removal works is that it blasts the particles with the laser to break it down into particles which are so tiny that it can actually be carried away and metabolized by the body. There is some debate on whether or not your body fully clears this ink out or whether it gets trapped in your lymph nodes. There is some emerging research that you have a greater likelihood of getting certain types of cancer if you undergo laser tattoo removal. And so for me, that was it. That was an absolute big no-no. I'm a very health conscious person, as you can tell from my other videos. And the idea that removing something for my own discomfort and vanity would potentially increase my likelihood of cancer, of doing something to cause even greater harm to my body, was a big no-no for me. I was really considering going the plastic surgery route, but I just had my last like, Hail Mary, maybe there's something else out there. And so Tattoo Away popped up and I was just blown away. I was so excited. You know, it's really advertised as this healthy, more natural alternative to laser tattoo removal. And I booked my appointment, my consultation, which just happened this morning. The way that the technician described the process to me this morning was that they abrade the surface level of your skin and they start injecting in a solution that has a foundation or base of saline and also has lactic acid and some other components that work to push the ink out of your skin. Once it's being pushed out through your skin, it will actually form into scabs, and those scabs contain the ink and that will eventually fall off. The biggest complaint is that there is a lot of scarring, discoloration of the skin, and so forth. And If you look at some individuals' results, you can see that yes, there is some hyperpigmentation, there is scarring. It will never look like your skin before you got the tattoo. For me, this is okay. I understand this risk, and I can tell you I would much rather have scarring and a little bit of discoloration there than this tattoo. And I think that's something that people really should consider before they try this route. So much of the final result depends on the aftercare of this procedure, and that was stressed to me during this consultation. How well you're keeping the scab dry, how well you're moisturizing the new skin afterwards. It is a very intensive aftercare process, so if you are someone that just cannot handle that, where you're like, I know for a fact I cannot hold myself accountable to taking care of this wound after this procedure, do not get the saline tattoo removal. But if you are like me and you are so dedicated to this, you just want that tattoo gone, this is a great option. It is also a lot cheaper than the laser tattoo removal, and supposedly there's less sessions as well. I cannot speak from this from personal experience yet, but I will say the lady this morning quoted me 4 sessions, potentially 5 if needed, whereas my laser tattoo removal had quoted me about 9 sessions, potentially more. So take that into consideration as well. If you want it gone a lot faster, saline tattoo removal might be for you. So after she had explained the entire procedure to me and the way things work, she gave me the quote, and I made my appointment right away. It's coming up next week. I'm so excited to get this process started. I just cannot wait to get these things off of my body. I want to document the whole process. I want to make sure you guys can see about the healing process as well. So naturally, because I am getting my tattoos removed, the question arises, am I doing this because of my faith? Am I doing this because I identify as a Christian? And the answer is yes and no. The answer is partially yes, because I feel like my tattoos represent an old version of myself that I no longer identify with. Most of them were done more impulsively. They don't have any really positive or deep meaning. To me, they just honestly feel like defacing my body. They don't glorify God. They don't promote anything good per se. And so that is partially why I want them gone. The no is because I don't think it's wrong for Christians to have tattoos, and I don't think it's wrong for Christians to get tattoos. I understand that is a very controversial statement, because I think there are a lot of Christians out there who think that tattooing your body is completely wrong and that under no circumstances should you be getting tattoos. But let's take a look at scripture and see what it has to say about tattoos and getting tattooed in general. So one of the verses that people often cite as proof that Christians should not get tattoos is Leviticus 19:28. This verse reads, "You are not to make gashes on your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord." Now, if you first read this just fresh out of the Bible with no context, it can very clearly relay you're not supposed to get tattoos. It says it right there. It says the word tattoo. But as a lot of people tend to do when cherry picking scriptures, they fail to look at any context. Now, this verse is part of the Old Covenant, which is Mosaic law. Now, these laws were basically written for the Israelites as a way to maintain purity and separation and kind of show themselves to be apart from the standards at the time. At the time, in these Near Eastern cultures, cutting the body, making marks, tattooing the body was often associated with pagan practices. It was often idolatrous. However, nowadays we are under a new covenant with God. We are not part of these set of rules that are under the Mosaic law. There are many that can be applied today and provide us with a lot of benefit and guidance. However, the very specific laws like that of not eating shellfish or not wearing certain kinds of fabric, they do not apply to us today. And this is one of those passages. This is one of those teachings. So when we look at that verse in context, when we apply it to our walk as Christians today, getting tattoos is not inherently wrong. getting tattoos of things that are disrespectful to God, displeasing to God, that are not leading others to God or might make others stumble, that is definitely going to be a big no-no, okay? So maybe hold off on the pinups, but if you want to get Romans 8:28 slapped on your forearm, that might be something that is actually really positive. You know, other people might see it and ask you about it. It might be a really wonderful daily reminder for you that God is always with you and doing all things for good. This is very clearly stated in 1 Corinthians 10, verse 31. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do everything for the glory of God. So this verse is really saying, you know, as something as small as eating or drinking, even in those little daily habits, we should always be honoring and glorifying God. So when you think of getting something permanently marked on your body, something that pretty much will be with you for the rest of your life, unless you want to be going through the excruciating, long, and very costly process of removing them, it should be pointing others to God. It should be something sacred and holy and meaningful. And this is once again reiterated in Colossians 1 verses 17. And whatever you do in word or in deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. So my final answer, can Christians get tattoos? Absolutely, they sure can, if they are pleasing and honoring to God. If they are not pleasing and honoring to God, which I think you can probably tell very quickly if something is glorifying and edifying, then do not get that tattoo. When I was starting out as a new disciple, I really had so many questions, so many concerns. I didn't know what was okay, what wasn't okay. And so I hope to make a few more videos like this, just kind of explaining things that might be a bit of a debate for Christians. As I said in my last video about modesty, I said modesty is a spectrum, and I think a lot of things within our Christian walk can be a spectrum as well. Something that might you know, feel comfortable and honoring and pleasing to God for one person may not feel the same for another Christian. Tattoos are a perfect example of this, whereas I think getting something, you know, like a Bible verse on your arm, a cross, something that is glorifying and edifying, I think can even be a really positive thing. Someone else might totally disagree with that, and they feel like God just does not want them to get tattoos, and they feel like it is defacing the temple that God gave us. Please respect and honor that as well. Thank you guys so much. I am so excited to get this process going. I will try and be as open and honest as I can with you about this process. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, or if you yourself have been through the tattoo removal process, I would love to know. So please comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can follow along on this journey. And I will see you soon.